Srimad Paramahansa Paribhaj His Divine Grace of His Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. ISKCON Sansthan of the whole world. Jayam Krishnapada Paramahansa Nitya Pravishta His Divine Bhakti Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki. यह ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की है अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। One second, I'm just trying to get that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
We're sharing the screen. We're trying to put it in the TV here, and there's a lot of complications. So hence, a bit of okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Sravanam, you can go on mute. You can chant on your own. Little lag will be there. So.
Sure.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. There is no reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Audience is sitting on my left side. I am facing right side. The DTs are there and the TV is there. Actually, I am facing blank wall, but all of you are there. So, a bit of, so if I look this side, that means I'm looking at the live audience here. So, welcome to this session on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. And honestly, sometimes I'm sure all of you would have experienced this in life. Like you're supposed to give one exam, and just one night before you realize that the syllabus is so much that you just can't do it. It's beyond you, right? You've tried your best, and now there is nothing much can be done. Whatever the exam is going to come, that will be like that. Sometimes we all have experienced. Doesn't matter what branch, what subjects we had, there will be one such things. Now here I am supposed to speak on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is unlimited, and we have limited time, and it's a very precarious situation. I mean, every verse, every word, every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam is glorious, right? So to make an attempt even, Vibhu, are you not getting audio? Others are you getting, Bhargav, are you getting audio?
Yes, bro.
So this attempt is very difficult because we all know, we have heard from Prabhupada's class many times that Lord Ananta, with his unlimited mouths, is glorifying Krishna continuously, and he is yet to finish. So Bhagavatam, which is not different from the Lord, to speak about the glories of Bhagavatam in 1 hour is not going to happen, but we will see. We'll make an attempt. This attempt is basically to make our faith and conviction on reading Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam more solid, and also see different nuances and aspects of Srimad Bhagavatam which we might not have seen, but when we pay a little close attention, we can appreciate a lot. So this session is, this presentation is based on the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. It's dedicated to our founder Acharya. The rationale behind having this session is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Rupa Goswami mentions there are these 5 potent forms of bhakti. Is also stressed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but this is pointed out by Rupa Goswami. He says, Nam Kirtan, it starts with Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas, and Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Shravan. So out of which we have had some discussions earlier on Sadhu Sangha and Nama Kirtan. Today we are talking about Bhagavat Shravan. And of course, we will be covering the remaining 2 in this week. So you'll get to hear about the other 2 Angas as well, the other 2 forms of bhakti. So question is, why Bhagavat Shravan? And what is the significance of Bhagavat Shravan? I've been stressing about one verse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quite some time now, which talks about the philosophy of Chaitanya in one verse, right? And it is worth knowing this verse. Was that in some other place? I just put it over here. Are you able to see?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So you can repeat after me. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Brajabadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha. So this is, if somebody asks what's your philosophy, what exactly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left behind, philosophical understanding. This one verse actually summarizes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy very nicely. It's a very beautiful verse, little difficult to chant, but if you know the meaning and understand what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, it is very, very sweet, very melodious. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasana Brajabadhu Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatra Dharana Paraha. First thing he's talking about, there are 5 things which is mentioned in this. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya. Aradhya is the object of worship. So the object of worship should be none other than Krishna. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya. Which Krishna? Is actually son of Nanda Maharaj. Something not very clear in that, but it is son of Nanda Maharaj. Then it talks about Dhama, Tadhama Vrindavana. So his transcendental abode, Vrindavan, is not different from Shri Krishna. If somebody asks, what is the difference between Vrindavan and any other dhams? What is the answer? Krishna resides in Vrindavan. We have one chart today morning we put there. Krishna resides in so many dhams. What's the speciality of Vrindavan? Personally descends and never leaves Vrindavan. Krishna left after Its pastimes are over. People who are there are constantly thinking of him. Okay. Anything else? One uniqueness of Vrindavan which is not there in any other dham. He plays his flute. Childhood pastimes. He plays his flute. Anybody wants to try and? Gopis are there. There's one thing actually in Vrindavan, when the Lord performs his pastimes, he does not wear any shoes. So Vrindavan has the footprint of the Lord. Everywhere else he is wearing something. I mean, he's not like in Dwarka. These are all abodes of the Lord, but he is wearing something. But in Vrindavan, the footprints of the Lord are always there. And that is why Vrindavan is not different, because it is touched by the lotus feet of the Lord. So Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Tadhama Vrindavanam. Then what kind of worship which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends? Ramya Kachi Dupasana Brajabadhu Vargena Kalpita. That which is performed by the Brajagopis. That is the highest form of worship. The worship which is performed by Brajagopis is the highest. Ramya Kachit Upasana. Ramya is attractive. Kachit Upasana. Brajabadhu Vargena Vakalpita, which is performed by the Brajabadhu. Then, if somebody asks, what is the authority of your philosophy? Where do you get this? What is the source? Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. This Pramana is spotless authority. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. And then the last one is, what is the highest artha? What is the highest goal of life? Premo Pumartho Mahan. There are 4 Purusharthas, which we all are aware of, which the Vedic literatures talk about. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But there is this Panchama Purushartha, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks, and that is pure love of God. Prema Pumartha Mahan. But if you see, anyway, the 4th one is spotless authority, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also mentioned here. So whether we are referring to the Rupa Goswami's instructions in the previous slide, which I was showing, sorry. Whether it is this one or it is the next one, which we just saw, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conclusive philosophical understanding, which is Aradhya Bhagavan Tadhama Vrindavanam. Vihu, can you go on mute? So the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam is the other 4 Angas which is mentioned by Rupa Goswami, or the other 4 truths which are mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are all described in Bhagavatam. Whether it is the Bhagavan, who is son of Nanda Maharaj, Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya, you will find description of that in Bhagavatam. Tadhama Vrindavanam, sufficient description is given about the abode of the Lord Vrindavan. Ramya Kachit Upasana Brajabadhu Vargena Yakalpita. So the form of worship which is performed by the Brajabadhus are also mentioned in Bhagavatam. Prema Pumartha Mahan, that also finds a mention in Bhagavatam. And same holds true over here also. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Mathura Vas, Srimurtira Shraddha Sevan. Every Angas are mentioned elaborately in Bhagavatam. So even historically, if somebody asks what is the most important Vedic literature, or what is the most important scriptures that India has to offer, or the Hinduism has to offer, there is mention of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and then Srimad Bhagavatam comes. I was just doing a little bit of research. I saw that in probably almost all regional languages, you'll find there is a local version of Srimad Bhagavata. At least I found in Gujarati, in Oriya, and Tamil also, there is one Srimad Bhagavata. Extremely popular. But the problem is, somehow we don't. Is there anybody who has never heard, read, seen Srimad Bhagavatam? You can unmute and speak. Okay. Except that everybody at least is aware of Bhagavatam. Anybody who has finished Bhagavatam completely? Only one devotee here who has finished Bhagavatam completely. So, there is a very beautiful verse which comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I have not put it in the slides over here, but it talks about actually the different cantos. Bhagavatam has 12 cantos, 335 chapters, 18,000 verses. So if somebody has to know the Supreme Lord, then the different cantos of Bhagavatam, they actually are compared with the different limbs of the Supreme Lord. First two cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam represent the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Like that, and it goes, there are thighs, there is chest, then there is throat, and then there is the lotus face. The lotus face is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that, the 5 chapters of the Rasa dance, that is considered to be the smile of the lotus face of the Lord. And then 11th and 12th canto are the forehead and the head, respectively. So, if at all the Lord appears in front of us and we have to identify him, the only way we can do it is if we have gone through Srimad Bhagavatam. So as I mentioned, the first 2 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are compared to the lotus feet of the Lord. Anybody knows how many chapters are there in first canto? 7, very good. 19.
15.
20?
15.
15, okay. You see, this is what is our position. Only one person, I think 19 is the right answer. How many chapters are there in second canto? Of course, now you can open and see. But see, even it is our situation is so bad. Imagine if Krishna comes, if we don't know even the first 2 cantos, to identify a difference between the lotus feet of the Lord or some other feet of someone, we will not even know that. Very difficult to even identify. So we should know the first 2 cantos at least completely, properly. Prabhupada had said that he has written everything in first canto, everything possible, because he was as a pure devotee, it's Leela, but he's saying he was scared whether he was not sure whether he was going to live for completing the all 12 cantos. So he has put everything that he is supposed to in the first 2 cantos, first canto and the second canto. So if we read that thoroughly, we will get to know more about the Supreme Lord. And if you see in our parampara, starting from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who used to hear Bhagavatam regularly, he used to relish hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from different devotees. Other acharyas, Madhvacharya, or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, their whole life is dedicated in giving commentaries or appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written a beautiful commentary called Sarartha Darsini, which is quoted by Prabhupada so many times in different purports. Chakravarti Path or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments like that he mentions. Sanatan Goswami has written Laghu Bhagavatamrita and Brihat Bhagavatamrita, which is appreciation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jiva Goswami's whole life, one big contribution is the Sat Sandarbhas. And Prabhupada says there is nobody who's even close to in terms of, can be compared with Jiva Goswami in terms of literary contribution. The Sat Sandarbhas are nothing but elaborate commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. And we don't have to go so far. I mean, if we see Srila Prabhupada, sleepless nights in translating this wonderful literature in English language. So much of, dedication, so much of hard work these acharyas have put. So it is very important for us also to understand and appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam and develop a desire or a strong determination to study, to understand the pearls and the nectars which is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's start with one verse and then we will proceed. It's a very beautiful verse. I want all of you to remember this verse. You can chant after me. Krishne Sudhama Upagate Dharma Jnanadhibhi Saha Kalau Nashtadrishamesha Puranarko Dhunodhita. So it's a very beautiful verse. We'll chant one more time. Krishne Swadhama Upagate Dharma Jnanadhibhi Saha Kalau Nashtadrishamesa Puranarko Dhunoditaha. So 5,000 years back when Krishna took birth in the prison of Kamsa in Mathura, after that he performed a lot of sweet, wonderful nectarian pastimes in Vrindavan, killed so many demons, went to Dwarka and performed so many wonderful pastimes, helped the Pandavas win the battle of Kurukshetra, gave those important instructions to Arjuna when he was confused about his duties. And after that he left this abode. So when he left this abode, did he go alone? No. Along with him, Dharma and Jnana also went. Krishna Sudhama Upagate Dharma Jnanadhibhi Saha. So Dharma, the religious principles and knowledge also went along with the Supreme Lord. Then what to do? What is the hope for us? Well, the hope is Kalau Nashta Drishamesa Puranarko Adhunoditaha. Kalau Nashta Drishamesa, for people who are blinded by the ignorance of Kali Yuga, by the evils of Kali Yuga, when our eyes are completely blinded, there is a sun which has arisen in the form of Purana Arko Adhunoditaha, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalau Nashta Drishamesa Purana Arko Adhunoditaha. It is non-different from the Lord. So this Dharma and Jnana, whatever has left along with Krishna, has taken shelter in the form of Purana, this Purana Srimad Bhagavatam. There are countless verses which talk about how Bhagavatam is non-different from the Lord. When the Lord takes incarnation in the form of a boar, is called what? Varahadev. When he takes in the form of a tortoise, is called Kurma. When he takes incarnation in the form of a human being, Rama or Krishna, whatever. When he takes the incarnation in the form of a half lion and a half man, that's Srimad. When he takes incarnation in the form of a book, and it's called Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a verse which I have not got here. It says, Puranam Brahma Samhitam, that verse. Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma Samhitam Nishrayasaya Lokasya. First canto, third chapter. Srimad Bhagavat, what is that? I said few lines, but no. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. Puranam Brahma Samhitam. Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishrayasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Mahat. Dhanyam Swasti Ainam Mahat. So that verse you can refer to, which talks about how Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma Samhitam. This is non-different. This Bhagavad Purana, Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma Samhitam. It is not Samhita. It is Samhitam. It is equivalent. It is equal to the Supreme Lord. Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma Samhitam. Uttama Shloka Charitam. What is the content of this? Content of Bhagavatam is Uttama Shloka Charitam, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, who is described in choicest words. Nishrayasaya Lokasya. This actually gives the ultimate benefit to all kinds of people. Nishrayasaya Lokasya Swasti Ayanam Mahat. It is glorified, actually, this verse. So you can refer to that. Like that, there are countless verses. One approach could have been just simply put some verses and we could have had a wonderful presentation. But I chose to do a little differently. What we would do is, those of you, I mean, I'm sharing my slide, but you can also refer to this particular section which I'm going to present next and read this at your free time and meditate on each word which Prabhupada has written. And I'm not going to go into any, like, 10th canto, 11th canto, 12th canto. Oh, this is from 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is from the preface. And mind you, preface of this book was written when Prabhupada was in India. Because the first 3 volumes of Bhagavatam was written, printed by Srila Prabhupada, which he carried with him when he was in Vrindavan in Radha Damodar temple. And see what wonderful writing, what language, what clarity, why Bhagavatam is required is so wonderfully given in this preface. I'll read it. We'll stop here and there and have some discussion, but I want all of you to read this afterwards. So this is the preface of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's hardly 1 page or 2 pages. I don't know. I mean, in my was seeing online, it's maybe 1, 2 pages maximum it is, but wonderfully written. So what Prabhupada is writing in the preface. We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. This is about globalization. Think of the time when Prabhupada is writing. This is in 50s. Hardly, there was no such opening of economy or liberalization. There's nothing. But Prabhupada's vision is now we are living in an age. We must know that the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, the entire energy of living beings. So the spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, is oneness of the entire human society. Then Prabhupada is correcting himself, saying that entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. So what is the need that Srimad Bhagavatam is going to fill? That this is going to be, there is globalization, there is no more borders, one nation, one state, and there is this idea of spiritual communism, which is based on the oneness of the entire human society or the entire energy of living beings. So that need will be felt, that need is felt by the great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janma Dasya Yataha, to establish the ideal of common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. So whatever technological progress we have made, Prabhupada is acknowledging that, is candidly saying that we have made rapid progress. But then in the next sentence, but there is a pinprick somewhere in social body at large. And therefore, there are large-scale quarrels even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need. There is a pinprick. Actually, this is a fact. Even though the rapid progress in the technological advancements that we have made has made, at least as it is at least claimed that our life has become comfortable, still there is something which is pricking. It's like a pin, if you step on it, it pains, it hurts. So there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large. And therefore there is a large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is a need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Very powerful sentence. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Powerful one-line summation. What is the need and what Srimad Bhagavatam is going to do? It's a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Srimad Bhagavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahlad Maharaj in order to change the demoniac face of society. Kaumaram acharet pragyo dharman bhagavatan iha durlabham manusam janma tadapi adhruvam arthadam. Disparity in human society is due to lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is God, or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is a fact that there is no one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad means beautiful. Shri is beautiful. In the beautiful Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with Him and our duty towards perfection of the human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge. So it is not just the knowledge about that supreme absolute truth of the Supreme Lord. It is also knowing our relationship with that Supreme Lord and doing our duty, having understood that relationship, and our duty towards perfection of the human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge. It is powerful reading matter in the Sanskrit language, and it is now rendered into English elaborately so that simply by a careful reading, one will know God perfectly well. So much so that the reader will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. Over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle. So much of confidence, so much of conviction in writing this. Prabhupada is saying, if anybody, if he reads this subject matter is so wonderful, it is so beautifully written that one will be completely convinced about the existence of God. Not just he'll be convinced, he'll also educate and defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. And over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva. We will not have time, but I can tell you there are 5 Vedanta Sutras which are there in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just the first verse talks about 5 different Vedanta Sutras. So it is actually a natural commentary of Vedavyas on Vedanta Sutra, is Srimad Bhagavatam. Wonderful, actually. It's a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva, and gradually it develops into 9 cantos to the highest state of God realization. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step, cautiously, and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. I don't know how many of you have this habit. I used to have this earlier. I'll pick one book and read from the middle, read in the end. But what Prabhupada is cautioning here is the only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step, cautiously and not jump forward haphazardly, as with an ordinary book. Then see the next line. It should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. The reading matter is so arranged with the original Sanskrit text, its English transliteration, synonyms, translation, and purports, so that one is sure to become God-realized soul at the end of finishing the first 9 cantos. If one finishes chapter by chapter, sequentially, goes step by step, then this reading matter will make one person God-realized soul at the end of the 9 cantos, first 9 cantos. The 10th canto is distinct from the first 9 cantos because it deals directly with the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. One will be unable to capture the effects of the 10th canto without going through the first 9 cantos. Actually, there is a rush to go to the 10th canto by most of the readers. At least Prabhupada has pointed this many times. People jump into the confidential pastimes of the Lord, the rasa dance, and take some mundane pleasure in that. But that is not, that is actually, they're just, they have no idea what they are doing. It's actually, it's an offense in one way. Without even understanding who Supreme Lord is, trying to deal this wonderful book which is non-different from God, getting into that kind of pastimes and thinking that it is some mundane or material activities is an offense. So first one has to go through this first 9 cantos to understand who's the Supreme Lord. He will be a God-realized soul, and then one should get into the 10th canto. One will be unable to capture the effects of the 10th canto without going through the first 9 cantos. The book is complete in 12 cantos, each independent, but it is good for all to read them in small installments, one after another. And then Prabhupada says, this is the greatest humility of Srila Prabhupada. Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam is all about humility. There is one thing which really struck me. I would try to bring that, not probably in this class, maybe in some other class, how each of the commentators who are coming in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition have written commentaries with so much of humility, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, Sarartha Darsani, he writes in the beginning, his commentary might, he's saying that after having written the whole commentary, I'm feeling that this is like, rashes on the body which is so beautiful. Because of the rashes, it looks ugly. Maybe, my commentaries are like that. I've just made an attempt, keeping the Lord in my mind, but please forgive me if there are some offenses. And look at the mood in which Prabhupada is writing here. I must admit my frailties in presenting Srimad Bhagavatam, but still I am hopeful of its good reception by the thinkers and leaders of society on the strength of the following statement of Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll chant this verse. It's a very beautiful verse. Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi namani anandasya yashonkitani yat Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. You see, the Bhagavatam is so poetic, so nice alliterations are there. The words used here are Bhaka, Visargo, Viplavo, all starting with the V. Could have been some other words, but Bhagavatam is very, very poetic. Tad Bhaka, Visargo, Janataga, Viplavo. Yasmin pratishlokam avadhavatyapi. Namani anantasya yashonkitani yat shrinvanti gayanti kranti sadhava. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a transcendental creation meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Om Tat Sat, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Actually, if you read Bhagavatam, there is no such frailties which Prabhupada is talking about. There is no incorrect improperly composed, irregularly composed verses. None of these are mentioned. It is just the humility. And once we go into this Bhagavatam, we'll see how beautifully it is composed and how wonderful are the commentaries, how wonderful Prabhupada has written this purports. So we have, let's start with the beginning of Bhagavatam. Right, as I said, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam are unlimited and we have limited time, but we will see what we can do. So, Bhagavatam begins, I mean, this is the second verse of Bhagavatam. I've spoken about this verse earlier also, but very powerful verse and worth meditating on this. It's a very, very confident assertion of Srimad Bhagavatam, how it begins. So it says, Dharma projita kaitavo atro paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu sivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamani krite kimva pare Ishvaraha Satyo hridiya varudhyate atra kritibhi shushrushubhi sakshana. So it starts with Dharma projita kaitavo atro. I mean, I've told that, this meter is, anybody remembers what meter is? Yeah, it's called Shardula Vikriditam. So the cubs of lion playing, that is the meter. Wonderful composition. I mean, unless somebody knows and they figure it out, very difficult to sing this sloka, I mean, to chant this sloka. Unlike Bhagavad-gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, where most of the verses are composed in simple Anustup Chand, which is like, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhya Mokshaishnami Masucha. This meter is almost everywhere maintained, unless there is something which is very dramatic. There is a change which is happening. Arjuna suddenly became a disciple from that of a friend, so the meter changes there. Karpanya doso bahata swabhava prichhami tvam dharma samudha cheta yad shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me sisyasteham satimam tvam prapannam. So this verse, the meter changes so that the reader becomes aware of something has happened. Or in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, where the Lord is showing his universal form, there is the same meter, which this is called Tristup. This meter is used. But in Bhagavatam, oh, these lines are coming here. No, in my, this thing it is coming. But in Bhagavatam, there are different meters and they are so wonderful. One verse which we all love to chant, or we all are aware of, it starts with the Gopi Gita. Sravanam Mangalam Srimadata. Tava Kathamritam. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kalmasha. I thought all of you will be knowing. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam. Very wonderful verse. I know the lyrics, but I'm not able to remember in the sequence. Anybody knows? Sravana Mangalam Srimadatam Bhubi Grinati Ye Bhurida Jana. So this is also a different meter. This is not the 2 meters of Bhagavad-gita or the meter that we just used. It's a very different one. It says Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam. Actually, this meter is called Rajahamsi. We were talking about Hamsas the other day, right? Paramahamsa. So Rajahamsa is the swan whose gait or whose walk is very regal. So it is going Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivan, then it is taking it. I mean, they don't go straight. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Sravana Mangalam Srimadatam Bhubi Grinati Ye Bhurida Jana. Actually, there are wonderful, musical composition on this particular verse. So this is what Bhagavatam is. There are different meters and very poetically composed. But let's see the meaning. Okay, might be it is beautifully composed and very nice to chant and sing. But what about the meaning? And I said that Bhagavatam begins with a very confident and positive assertion. What kind of people are required to read this? What it is talking about? And it's a very bold statement. It says, Dharma projita kaitavo atro paramo nirmat saranam sata. So, what is the concluding instruction of Bhagavad-gita? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshesyami masucha. So if you see that verse carefully, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. This is written, Krishna is telling you, abandon all kinds of religious activities and surrender to me. This is written in present tense. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. But this one is saying, Dharma projita kaitavo atro paramo nirmat saranam sata. Having given up all this dharma, projita is a present, what is called, this is called past participle. Like we have present tense, past tense, and then the next one is like, let's say, go, went, and gone. Gone is what? Present participle, past participle. Past participle. So having given up, dharma projita kaitavo. The Bhagavad Gita ends with Krishna demanding that you should give up all varieties of duties, obligatory acts, and surrender to me. Here it begins with dharma projita kaitavo. Projita is past participle. Having given up all this dharma, what you should do? What kind of dharma is it talking about to give up? Kaitava dharma, all the cheating religion. Cheating religion where we want some material prosperity, some gains, and there is a promise that if you do this, then you will get this. So those kind of dharma, Bhagavatam is saying, give it up. Having given up, dharma projita kaitavo atro paramo nirmat saranam satam. So this Bhagavatam is actually meant for people who are 100% pure in their heart. There is no enviousness. Matsara is enviousness. If somebody is envious, he will not be able to understand Bhagavatam. This is not meant for him. Another synonym of Matsara, if you read the purport, Prabhupada is saying self-pride and enviousness towards the Lord. So, dharma projita, give up all these kinds of cheating religion, which is mainly, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. People do this dharma so that they can get some economic prosperities. After they get the economic benefits, they will utilize that for material gains that they've got. They'll utilize it for their sense gratification, for kama. And once they're satiated with that, they look for moksha. But Bhagavatam even goes to the extent of giving up moksha. Not just dharma, artha, kama, even moksha also should be given. So what is it then? Dharma projita kaitavo atro paramo nirmat saranam satam. One has to be 100% pure to accept the content of Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because the subject matter that Bhagavatam is talking about is Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Sivadam Tapatrayom Mulanam. This is Vastavam, reality, which is different from all the illusory things in this material world. Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu is a spiritual substance which is free from all illusions. Sivadam, and it is auspicious. That is the beauty of Bhagavatam. If it is some reality which is distinct from illusion, it has got nothing to do with my life, what is the point? No, it is very auspicious. It is meant for the well-being of all of us. Shivadam. How? Tapatrayon Mulanam. It actually uproots this Tapatraya, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Bhautik. These three kleshas, which torment every living entity in this material world, is uprooted by Bhagavatam. Then one may question, and how, Prabhu, you can say that one book can uproot all these three miseries? I have just one book, Srimad Bhagavatam, it will uproot all these three miseries? The answer is yes. It is not like the material world, the way it works, it will change. It's not going to change. Material world is dukkhalayam and asasvatam. But your consciousness will change so much that you will remain unaffected, even though the tapatraya is acting. Tapatraya is definitely going to act, But Bhagavatam's knowledge will help us face this without being affected. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimba Parer Ishwara. This is a question, rhetoric. What need of any other literature is there? This Bhagavatam, which is giving this kind of knowledge, which is so relevant and which is going to talk about the highest truth. Why do you need any other literature? Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimba Parer Ishwara. Having received this knowledge, Sadhyo Hridayavaruddhyate Atra Kritivi Shushrushvis Takshana. Having received this knowledge, the Lord will be remained completely locked in our heart. Immediately, Shushrushvis Takshana. Sadhyo Hridayavaruddhyate. Avarudhyate is to imprison someone. It's like you put him, you bind him. So the Lord in our heart will be bound up by this wonderful knowledge, by taking shelter of this wonderful knowledge. This is what Bhagavatam is talking about. So if somebody is not interested, then Bhagavatam is not meant for them. There are other literatures which are there, which claim that you can do this, you can get this. This yajna will elevate you in your material gains. You will get good wife, good these things. All those things are there, but those are all called Kaitava Dharma. Anybody knows why they are called Kaitava Dharma? Why they are cheating religion? No, you will get whatever is promised. You will get.
They're all Prema, bro. It's not Shreyas. This is a Preyas.
Yes, and not Shreyas. Okay. Cycle of birth and death will not be able to come out. Okay. What else? They're not Parama Dharma. Parama and we were hearing that. You were there in that? No, you were not there. Chanchalpati Prabhu was mentioning about that. There is a Paradharma and there is an Aparadharma. Aparadharma is related to this material world. Based on the material body that we have, we want to keep that body in utmost comfortable situation. But we forget to realize that this material body has a beginning and an end. So this Aparadharma is mostly which is related to sense gratification or material enjoyment or material prosperity. But it is short-lived, temporary, and it is not a permanent thing. Whereas Parodharma is something which is giving you the highest thing. Remember I had told that bad bargain example once. So it is like it's a cheating. Somebody is telling you something that you can get a lot out of this, but when you have received that, you realize that whatever is promised, it is not delivering that, or it is you've been cheated by what has been told. Somebody had told that this is some steel or something, and by the time you get that thing to your house, you realize that it's a plastic product. So that is called cheating kind of religion. They claim, they promise a lot, however, what you get is not the right one. Earlier, I had given one example of bad bargain, where Walkman, Sony Walkman, and it was Iva Walkman. So I had purchased it from one store which is on the footpath, and so I went and I asked him, "Is it Iva?" So he said, "Kya likha hai? Padho." Iva. Okay. So then he said, then I asked, "Is it original?" So he looked at me. So what do you think? I said, "Oh, take it over." Then I asked how much it is. Then he said some money, some 600, 700 rupees. Then I said, it is too much. It is little too much. I'll not buy. The moment I said I'll not buy, immediately he called a Ponopa, a Senthil Narayan, and called some 2-3 names who were there, neighboring shopkeepers. He told Pakra, and then they all came together and they said, "Agar lena nahi tha, to bargaining kyun kiya? Idhar pucha kyun uska tha?" And they made me buy that. So I bought that. I mean, that's what Prabhupada uses many times. It's the bad bargain. You should not bargain with Maya. Often the dharma that we do is actually a bad bargain. That Walkman which I bought, it ended up becoming a box for carrying sandwiches. Right? So it didn't work after 6 months. So like that, this Kaitava dharma is completely discarded. is rejected by Bhagavatam. And it's saying, Nirmat Saranam Satam. One has to become, one prerequisite for this is one has to give up this enviousness in the heart. Then one can understand Vedyam Vastavam Atravastu Sivam. So if it is only some philosophical truth which we are going to understand, and of course it is Vedyam Vastavam, it's great, but then if it is just some philosophical conclusion, it must be dry, must be very boring. Who's going to read this? But in Bhagavatam, the next verse, it says, very wonderful. It's worth knowing. You can repeat again after me. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam Sukhamukhadamrita drava samyutam Pivata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So if the entire Vedic literature is compared with a kalpataru, with a wish-fulfilling tree, Nigama kalpataru galitam phalam. Galitam is matured, ripened fruit which is just about to fall on its own. So gal gaya hai, we say in Hindi also, right? In Gujarati also gal gaya is there. Gal gaya is like ho gaya uska, pag gaya hai pura. So Nigama kalpataru galitam phalam. It is the most sweetened, ripened, just the perfect time when you can enjoy and relish that fruit. So any tree that we plant, if it is a fruit-bearing tree, then we wait when the fruits are going to come. And that is what exactly this verse is saying, that the most matured, sweetened, ripened fruit of this wish-fulfilling desire tree, which is the Vedic literature, is Srimad Bhagavatam. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam, Sukhamukhad amrita drava samyutam. Each of these lines, is a big elaboration, but I'll just spend some time in Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. You might think there is some mistake in this. How can you drink a fruit? Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. And what kind of fruit it is? Rasamalayam. It is not some boring, dry, bitter, some kadwa, some fruit. No, Rasamalayam. It is just filled with nectar, with rasa, with mellows. And this fruit, such a wonderful fruit is this. There is no skin and there is no seed. That is why it can be you can drink it. Like that mango, what is it called? Amras. It's like amras. You can just relish it. Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. One has to become a rasika to enjoy, to relish Bhagavatam. And how? Once in a while? No. Muhur. Every time, always, constantly one can enjoy and relish. Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. 2 days back we were reading Kunti Maharani's prayers, and there was one lecture which Prabhupada has given where he has mentioned that Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya, in that verse, he's telling that it is not just the taste of water which is Krishna. Even a drunkard who is drinking wine or some liquor, he can also experience Krishna, because when he is appreciating that taste is actually is non-different from Krishna. So Muhuraho Rasika, this Rasika is actually someone who's connoisseur of taste. When that one becomes a Rasika, he can relish this Bhagavatam like anything. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam Sukhamukhad amrita drava samyutam Pivata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So the time is 8:40. What I'll do is, actually I have got 60-70 slides. Bhagavatam, as I said, it's just unlimited, but I'll restrict myself with just few things, and then with that we'll close in by 8:55 in next 15 minutes. In 5 minutes we'll have a question answer. Interestingly, Bhagavatam came out of is compiled by Vyasadeva, and the same Vyasadeva who wrote all Vedic literatures, the Vedas. Actually, Vedas used to be one, but imagine, Vedas are like a collection of different stones. Some are red, some are green, some are yellow, and some are white. red, green, yellow, and white. So it was a mixture of all these stones. And then after Vedavyas could realize that now this Kali Yuga is going to come where people will have short lifespan, and there are so many such problems which Bhagavatam mentions. What he did was he arranged this stone-like information which is given in the Vedas into 4 different parts. So these Vedas are actually coming out of the mouth of Brahma from his 4 mouths. That's why we have Vedi, Vivedi, Trivedi, and Chaturvedi. From the knower of 1 Veda, 2 Vedas, 3 Vedas, 4 Vedas. So how did that come? So basically Vedavyas arranged some red stones in one Vedas, green stones in another one, yellows in another one, and whites in another one. So there are 4 Vedas which came out of 1 Veda. It was compiled by Vedavyas, and he had different saints or sages who were given the responsibility of preaching and propagating that Vedic knowledge. He compiled means he put it in writing. This knowledge was always available. One of the names of Vedas is Apaurushaya. So Vedas were divided into 4. Then he wrote 108 Upanishads. Then he wrote 18 Puranas, 6 in the mode of goodness, 6 in the mode of passion, and 6 in the mode of ignorance. After having written all those things, still he was not satisfied. He wrote Vedanta Sutras, he wrote Mahabharata, he wrote so many things, and still he was not satisfied. And at that time, Narad Muni appeared in front of him, and he said, "You are not satisfied in your heart because you have not glorified the Supreme Lord." This is a secret actually, whether we know or we don't know, but unknowingly also when we sit in Bhagavatam class, when we read and hear Bhagavatam class, we actually hear the glorification of the Lord, and hearing the glorification of the Lord satisfies us completely. A person becomes completely satisfied. And that's what exactly Vedavyas did. He wrote the wonderful glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, wonderful glories of Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. So Bhagavatam is nothing but Bhakti, Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhagavatam. This is all Bha, Bha, Bha. And that's how Bhagavatam came. There are some interesting verses. Good to know. What is the purpose of Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam was written to propound Bhakti Yoga, which is the solution of all miseries. You can repeat after me. Anartha upasamam sakshat Bhakti Yogam adhokshaje Lokasya jananto vidvans Chakre Satvata Samhita. Anartha Upasamam Sakshat. So Anartha is this misery. This Prabhupada writes these are superfluous to human beings, superfluous to the soul. This miseries which we are inflicted in this material world. We don't deserve this. Because we have got this material body, we are subject to this miseries. Anartha Upasamam. Upasamam is to mitigate. Anartha Upasamam Sakshat. All the miseries, all these material miseries which are superfluous to a living entity, to the spirit soul, can be mitigated, can be subdued, can be subsided by Bhakti Yogam Adhokshaja, by doing Bhakti to the Supreme Lord. Adhokshaja is another name of the Supreme Lord. Akshaja means eyes, which represents the senses. Adhokshaja means a Lord who is beyond our senses, who cannot be perceived by our blunt material senses. Another commentary which Prabhupada says is, the alphabets that we have in our language, like in Sanskrit or Hindi, it is from A to Kha. So Aksha, it is beyond Akha. Whatever we can compose, right, it is beyond that, the Lord. So Anartha Upasamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adhokshaje. When one does Bhakti Yoga, all the anarthas are mitigated. But unfortunately, people do not know about this. Lokasya ajananto vidvans. People didn't know about this. That's why Chakre Satvata Samhita. Another name of Srimad Bhagavatam is Satvata Samhita. Satvata means devotees. Satvatapati is another name of the Lord. Satvatam Samhita. So this Satvata Samhita was compiled by Vyasadeva because people are ignorant about bhakti. And if somebody does bhakti, then all the anarthas will be upasamam. All the anarthas will be mitigated. The material miseries of the living entity which are superfluous to him can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vedavyas compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the Supreme Truth. So what does this Bhagavatam do? When you read this Bhagavatam, what happens to you? This is given in a very beautiful verse in Bhagavatam. You can repeat after me. Yashyam Vaishruyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhaktirutpadyate Pumsa Sokamoha Bhayapaha. So this knowledge of Bhagavatam vanquishes lamentation, illusion, and fear. Yashyam Vaishruyamanayam. Once one hears this Bhagavatam, Yashyam Vaishruyamanayam. Once we start hearing this Bhagavatam, simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, Yashyam Vai. Vai means certainly, and Yashyam refers to this literature. Yashyam Vaishruyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsa. One develops bhakti for Krishna. The Paramapurusha Krishna, one develops bhakti in his heart. Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsa. Krishna Paramapurusha Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsa. What happens because of the bhakti which is arised in the heart? So Kamo Bhayapaha. All this lamentation, illusion, and fear, this will be vanquished from the heart. Vanquishes that. Okay, so one may say that, great that Bhagavatam has all these things, but is it really the greatest thing that Vedavyas has written? How do we know that? So the answer to that is, as an author, if somebody has written many literatures, and if he is asked which is the best literature, what do you think which gave you the highest satisfaction? Vedavyas says, author's satisfaction. He was completely satisfied by writing this literature, and this is a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Veda Sastra Purana Kahiya Vedavyas Tathapi Chittera Nahi Payana Prakas Yakhane Shri Bhagavata Jivaya Spurila Tatakshane Chitta Vritti Prasanna Hoila. The moment he wrote Bhagavat, Yakhane Shri Bhagavat Jivaya Spurila, moment he started speaking and writing Bhagavatam, Tat Kshane Chitta Vritti Prasanna Hoila. Chitta and Vritti both became completely satisfied. So this is not anybody else who's telling, it is the compiler, or the writer himself who's telling. After writing this Bhagavatam, he became completely satisfied. I told at the beginning how he was completely unsatisfied before writing this Bhagavatam, and Narad Muni asked him to write direct glorification, and when he did, he actually mentions like this. So there are many other things which are there, but I would like to stop here and see if you have any question. Maybe I can take this verse. This is a if you search in KK's songs, you'll find the lyrics for this. This is a song written by Sanatana Goswami in glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. Most of the acharyas have written, I've just put this. How Bhagavatam is our dearest friend. The dearest friend of a devotee is Bhagavatam. He's saying, Madeka bandho mat sangin. You can repeat. Madeka bandho mat sangin. Mat guru mat mahadhana. Mannistaraka mad bhagya. Madananda namostute. So this is a composition by Sanatana Goswami where he is telling, Madeka bandho. Srimad Bhagavatam is my only friend, devotee. Srimad Bhagavatam is my only well-wisher, bandho. Madeka bandho. Mat sangin. As again, sangin is my companion. Madeka bandho mat sangin. Mat guru, it is my spiritual master. Man mahadhana, this is my greatest treasure. Man nistaraka, this is the deliverer of mine. Mad bhagya, my good fortune. Mad ananda, this is my bliss. Namastute. And I am paying my obeisances to this Bhagavatam. As I said, I have got lots of these things. What is the subject matter of Bhagavatam? Not just simply some stories are there. The uniqueness of Bhagavatam is something which I don't want to start now, but it has to be really understood. And our acharyas have given wonderful commentary to elaborate on that. to explain that, we might have missed on our own, because the subject matter which I've put over here, Prahlad and Narsimha, is something which is found in other literatures also. Or Vritrasura finds a mention in Rig Veda also. Bali and Vamanadev is found everywhere. But what is the unique way in which Bhagavatam talks about it? That is something which is worth knowing. Same holds true for Ramayana. Ramayana is such a great composition. It is called Adi Kapya. When Parikshit was hearing Bhagavatam from Sukadev Goswami, Ramayana was always, it was there, it was present. And Sukadev Goswami mentions about that also, that you have heard about Ramayana. But what Sukadev Goswami talks in Ramayana is very wonderful. Sukadev Goswami's version of Ramayana. We'll see in some other time. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions.
There's one statement that by reading the word of Bhagavatam, beginning to end,
First 9 cantos will become God realized. So,
become God realized. So, just by reading, what is the? I mean, that seems like a very achievable target, but
actually, let's believe that it is possible. The fact is, Bhagavatam is not different from the Lord. As I said, like, the different cantos of Bhagavatam reveals, they are compared with the different limbs of the Lord. So as soon as you've finished the 9 cantos, it means you have come here, till up to here. Only the lotus face is remaining. You've already got it. You've understood everything. Lotus feet itself is enough. There are 2 ways to look at it. One is, this gives us a goal that we should do this. Second is, of course, if you really want to relish Bhagavatam and understand, so reading implied understanding, then you have to see how Bhagavatam is saying how to approach Bhagavatam, which we were doing in the last class. That has to be kept in mind. But for all practical this thing, I would say that if you finish 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, sequentially, canto by canto, everyday reading, become God realized. Because it is, Prabhupada is saying, you'll have so much of conviction. There is, you can defend yourself and you can defeat the atheists and convert them also. Because it is all about the Supreme Lord. See, the greatest contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his philosophy, is that verse that we spoke, right? Aradhya Bhagavan Rajesha Tanaya. So if you look into those 5 things, Aradhya Bhagavan Rajesha Tanaya, Tadhama Vrindavanam, Ramyagachet Upasana Brajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, Prema Pumartha Maha. So out of these 5 things, which is the most important, if you have to choose? The question is, if out of these 5, if one has to choose, which is the most important thing? Artha? Prema Pumartha? One answer is Prema Pumartha, okay? Anyway, there are 5 options on. How many are thinking it is Aradhya? Nobody. How many are thinking Dhama, Tadhama? Out of this 5,
Artha.
Pramanam, okay. That's because we are talking about glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, okay. So many are there for Pramana. Anybody has any other answer?
Artha.
Huh? Artha.
Artha. Prema, or pure love of God.
All are important. You have to choose one. Can't choose. All right. Spotless Purana. Because yesterday we are talking about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, the answer is the first one. Why I'll say Aradhya Bhagavan. The biggest contribution of Chaitanya and his followers is giving this understanding or knowledge that the supreme absolute truth is a person. Bhagavan, Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajeshatanaya. Once you establish that, then all our Dhamma is related to him, Upasana is related to him, Pramanam is about him, Artha is also pure love of God, is about him. So the biggest contribution is understanding the supreme absolute truth is God. The reason I got diverted to this, I asked this question was because you're asking, what was that? Just God realized or not. The answer is every page, everywhere Bhagavatam talks about the supreme absolute truth as a person, as a God. You will be God realized. That's what it is. That is the contribution of Bhagavatam. Any other question?
So Prahlad Maharaj is talking about introducing.
Prahlad Maharaj?
In the preface was mentioned that right from very young age when was introduced to the Bhagavata.
Kumara Mahacharit Pragya.
So how would one do? I mean, is it that they also go through a systematic, let's say it is to introduce for
Schools and the universities.
so what would be good way or
Of introducing that in the good way? I mean, I don't. So, what do you mean by good way?
means so one is systematic study
Of Bhagavatam.
as the book from one to one,
Mhm.
or it could be a portion of.
So, when Prahlad Maharaj is saying, okay, by the way, Prahlad Maharaj, since you're asking this, there was one slide which I had about Prahlad and Narasimhadev, right? So, this Narasimha and Prahlad's pastime in Bhagavatam is there for 10 chapters. One of the longest, probably after 10th canto. There's probably no other incarnation which is described so much. But what is the uniqueness of the way Bhagavatam presents this? What is the uniqueness of Prahlad and Narasimha pastimes given in Bhagavatam? That is an answer to your question. That is there. I mean, see, Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj pastimes are there in many Puranas, in many other Puranas other than Bhagavatam also, and in other Vedic literature also. But what is the unique contribution of Bhagavatam? Okay, that's true. And I probably nobody would have read Vedic literature.
One thing that I found is that Bhagavata is a hero. He was there everywhere, but all of his instructions is all focused.
Actually, you told the answer. All you gave the answer. That's the right answer. All other Puranas, it is about Narasimhadev, who appeared and tore apart Hiranyakashipu. But the way Bhagavatam describes it is through Prahlad. It starts from Kayadhu, those instructions which he received. The first thing Bhagavatam, when it mentions about Prahlad, it talks about his devotional ecstasy. He is having tears from his eyes. That's how Bhagavatam starts about. So Kaumaram Acharat Pragyam, when it comes to, for that, first of all, there should be trained people who are ready to train the next generation. So a person who is trained, he knows how to train this thing. In case of Prahlad, it was Narad Muni who was there, competent. And that's why Prahlad got this knowledge and he could do this. So there is a great need, first of all, for in the society for people like us to understand this thoroughly. Then when you speak, even if you speak anything which is grammatically incorrect, like it is irregularly composed, it is there are apparently some flaws, it will have the impact, because it is not those words or the method which is doing the trick. It is the subject matter, and which one has received in the parampara. When he tries to pass it on, it has an impact. It's the purity. That is what is actually the unique contribution of Srimad Bhagavatam. Those things it brings and presents. How Prahlad became a devotee, a saint. What is the Prabhupada writes in the what saint, boy saint, right? That verse when he's quoting in that preface, boy saint Prahlad, right? So how he became a saint when he is a boy? Because most of the boys are interested in plays and other things. They're not interested in this. How did he become? Because he received it through this knowledge. So it is those pure knowledge which is received in the Guru Parampara. When it is passed, it will have the impact.
The description can add to that in the purport of the verse. One thing is that Kaumanam Acharate is translated as practice. So it's not just the class, but how to live their life. And yesterday when I was preparing for the class, that Prabhupada says that how in the lecture, how he has started Gurukul. So he says how we're training, and in that context he quotes the verse to say that it's not just reading the book, but they have to practice brahmacharya. So the entire culture of living has to be based on that, not just the book. Because they read the book and then they go eat the chicken.
Prabhupada uses the word, somewhere you would have seen this, called culture of knowledge. So it is not just the knowledge of transmitting and hearing. The culture is acharat, and you have to practice that. That's how the transformation happens.
Then the end of the purport, there is a paragraph where he's giving the way of teaching children.
Yes. What is that?
In all the schools and colleges and universities and at home, all children and youth should be taught to hear about Supreme Personality of God. Not about Supreme Personality of God. Then, in other words, they should be taught to hear the instructions of Bhagavad-gita, to put them into practice in their lives, and thus to become strong in devotional service, free from fear of being degraded to animal life. Following Bhagavata Dharma has been made extremely easy in the age of courage. Shastra says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam Palu, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva. For need only chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Everyone engaged in the practice of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra will be completely cleansed from the core of the heart and be saved from cycle of birth.
Did that answer? Any other question? Jagrantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nidai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.